Ladies and gentlemen, there's a moment in everyone's life where they realize some people just aren't going to respect you. No matter how kind you are, how generous you've been, or how much you've shown up for them, they still find a way to belittle, dismiss, or ignore you. And when that moment comes, you're faced with a choice. Shrink yourself to keep the peace, or stand tall and protect your dignity. Stop trying to earn the approval of people who've already decided not to respect you, because the more you chase their validation, the further you drift from your own self-worth. You find yourself molding, adjusting, softening, and editing who you are just to fit into a version of yourself they'll find more acceptable. But the truth is, when someone is committed to not seeing your value, it doesn't matter how loud you speak, how kind you are, or how much you try to show them, they'll always find a way to reduce you to what makes them feel superior. And that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with their own insecurity. You could pour your heart out. You could be the most loyal, loving, generous version of yourself, and still they will treat you like you're disposable, because in their mind, you are not a person to be respected. You are a tool to be used or a presence to be managed. And as long as you keep trying to win their approval, you're agreeing to their terms. You're co-signing on their narrative that you must do more, be more, give more, just to earn a seat at their table. And let's be honest, that seat was never meant for you, because a table that requires you to abandon your self-respect just to sit down isn't worth sitting at all. It starts with believing that your value isn't negotiable. Your worth isn't determined by someone else's inability to recognize it, and their blindness to what you bring to the table doesn't mean the table is empty. It means they're not qualified to sit with you in the first place. Think about how much energy you waste chasing approval from people who've never even bothered to understand your heart, your intentions, your journey. These are the same people who'll see you doing well and still focus on what they think is missing. These are the people who will remember your mistakes in vivid color and your growth in grayscale. And as long as you're trying to convince them to like you, you will always be a prisoner to their opinions. There is power in choosing not to explain yourself to someone who's made it clear they're not interested in understanding you. And every time you choose not to chase that approval, you're reclaiming your peace. It's not about arrogance or acting like you don't care. It's about self-preservation. It's about knowing that your energy is sacred and it should be invested in people who uplift it. It's not people who drain it. The people who don't respect you have already shown you where they stand. It's not your job to fix their lens. It's your job to adjust your direction. Because when you stop watering dead plants, you make room for growth somewhere else. And when you stop trying to prove your worth to people who've already decided to dismiss it, you start remembering that the only approval that truly matters is the one you give yourself. You're not here to audition for someone else's acceptance. You're here to live boldly in your truth, even if it makes others uncomfortable. And the people who truly see you won't need 1,000 explanations to value what you bring. They'll recognize it from the moment you walk in the room, and treat it with the respect it deserves, because they know real doesn't have to shout to be seen. Respect yourself out loud, because quiet self-respect is not always enough in a world that often overlooks silence and takes softness for weakness. People don't always pick up on subtle cues. Some people don't understand your boundaries unless they're spoken with clarity and backed with consistency. And if you keep letting things slide, you eventually start to slide too. The way you allow people to speak to you sets the tone for every future conversation. And if you don't teach them how to treat you, they will teach you how little they're willing to care. There comes a point where you have to stop making excuses for people's bad behavior and start making space between you and their disrespect, because nothing changes until you decide that what's been acceptable is no longer allowed. You don't need to scream to demand respect, but you do need to be clear. You need to be consistent. You need to be firm in the way you hold your line, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it risks disapproval, even when it costs you the relationship, because the cost of disrespect is always greater than the cost of walking away. If someone talks over you, cuts you off, dismisses your feelings or mocks your standards, and you say nothing. You send the message that it's okay. You give them the green light to keep doing it. And before long, that behavior becomes normal for them and toxic for you. The first time you feel disrespected may feel small, like a joke or a passing comment, but disrespect rarely starts loud. It creeps in through cracks in your self-worth until one day you realize you're tolerating things you once said you never would. The moment you speak up is the moment you reclaim your dignity, not because confrontation is easy, but because peace without respect is a lie. People might call you difficult. They might say you're too sensitive or too much. But that's only because they were too comfortable with you being silent and too used to getting away with what you never should have allowed when you start setting boundaries. People who benefited from your silence will be the loudest in protesting. But that's not your problem. You're not here to be palatable for people who only respect you when you're convenient. You're here to honor your voice even if it shakes. Respecting yourself out loud means walking away from conversations that leave you drained. It means no longer laughing at jokes that humiliate you or clapping back with sarcasm when you really need to set a boundary. It means pausing when your instinct is to people please and instead asking, what do I need right now? And who am I becoming when I let this continue? Self-respect is not passive, it's active, it's visible. It's a decision you have to keep making every single day until it becomes second nature, until you no longer need to explain your standards because your energy does it for you. People who truly respect you will never be offended by your boundaries. They'll honor them. And those who don't honor them are simply revealing that they never valued your presence to begin with. And that is all the clarity you need to stop shrinking for people who were never meant to hold space in your life. Stop explaining your value to people who only listen when they benefit, because your worth is not something that needs to be justified to those who treat you like an option until they need you suddenly when you're useful, when they're lonely, when they want something, they remember your name, they text back, they show up and they speak kindly, but only long enough to get what they want. And then they vanish again back into the silence where they left you waiting. Before this is not respect, it's convenience. And the more you keep giving in, the more you reinforce that your presence is conditional to their desires. They don't value you, they value your usefulness. And there's a difference. People who truly value you show consistency. They show up whether you're winning or struggling, not just when it serves them, but because they actually care. It's tempting to keep trying to prove your worth to them, to keep hoping that maybe this time they'll see you differently. Maybe if you say the right thing or give a little more or prove yourself once again, maybe then they'll finally realize how much you matter. But the truth is, if someone hasn't realized your value by now, it's not because you haven't done enough. It's because they've never looked beyond what they could take from you. And when you keep showing up for people who never show up for you, all you're doing is feeding a one-sided relationship built on manipulation, not mutual respect. You don't owe anyone endless explanations. You don't owe second and third chances to those who only remember you when it's beneficial for them. And you certainly don't owe your emotional labor to people who dismiss your needs unless they align with theirs. The more you justify your worth, the more you drain yourself trying to convince the wrong audience. And it's exhausting because no matter what you do, it's never enough. For people who are committed to minimizing you, they'll always want more, always expect more, and always give less in return because their presence was never about connection, it was about transaction. The way to take your power back is not by yelling louder. It's by going silent where you used to over-explain. It's by creating space where you used to chase. It's by withdrawing your energy where you used to over-invest, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity, because you finally see the pattern and you've chosen to break it. People who only appreciate your presence when it's convenient don't deserve full access to you. Their inconsistency is not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of their character. And once you understand that, you stop seeking from them what they're not capable of giving. You have to protect your energy from those who only see your value in moments of need, because those are the same people who will disappear the moment you need them back. They will ignore your growth, your pain, your effort until there's something in it for them. And that is not respect, that is opportunism. And the best way to handle it is not by continuing to perform your worth, but by removing your worth from the stage entirely and reserving it only for those who show up, not because they want something, but because they see you and value you as you are without needing a reason to do so.